Hello guys, and welcome to another unboxing of an older British Standards Fireworks selection box. In this video we should be looking at this 26-piece Benstar Black Nebula selection box, and both the Benstar name and this very product have a lot to answer for, as they marked the very beginnings of window dressing and over packaging as we know it today. These are marked as display fireworks, and you can see the Benwell name here. Benwell were part of the Cosmic group, and the once famous brand was used to push cheaply made products into supermarkets. Worryingly, it would seem that Benwell used the Benstar name to push even cheaper made products into supermarkets, and this selection box is certainly no exception. Before I remove the lid, it's worth noting how eye-catching its box design is, and the carefully placed items inside look very appealing. We can see a multi-shot barrage here, what appear to be some decent sized conical fountains, and there's even a second cake lurking down in this corner. So with that said, bear with me whilst I remove the lid and we'll take a closer look at the contents. So having removed the lid, I'll firstly say that I like the simple eye-catching labels, and the almost comic book design is very reminiscent of times gone by. Looking at the pieces, which I couldn't see for the clear plastic window, I can certainly see lots of over packaging, and at a time when this had not previously been seen, it must have come as a huge surprise to those who originally bought this box. So firstly we have plasma field, and this is shamefully over packaged. It consists of just one single tube and feels little more than a box full of air. From what I understand, earlier boxes had a piece which appeared exactly the same as this in both size and appearance, although the firework itself was a multi-shot barrage worthy of its dimensions. We can see here that this cheaper revised firework is now labelled as a fountain, and it carries a Burton-on-Trent address. Asteroid Belt is another firework you couldn't see through the box's clear windows, and yet again it's a package consisting of mostly air. This has the bare minimum single tube and is again labelled as a fountain. Another obscured firework was this Ultraviolet Fountain, and as you may have guessed, this is yet another overpackaged single tube, which on face value looks much more impressive than it actually is. Underneath we have light beams, and this is yet another fountain. Although not as poorly overpackaged, it is still window dressed to a certain extent, and those who have seen my Cosmic Saturn selection box review from the very same year will appreciate that this wasn't the norm. Similar in size is Comet, although this is now 3 times the weight of light beams. This is labelled as a combination fountain mine, and surprisingly I'd have to say that this item doesn't feel deceptively large. Comet Trail is one of 2 conical fountains we could see before removing the lid, and customers must have felt miffed once removing these and feeling their build quality. Cosmic were producing high-end machine-pressed fountains at the time, and I believe this was amongst the first instances where a cheaper item had been deliberately made to deceive buyers. This cone contains just one single tube and probably has a mere quarter of the expected powder content. Space Dust carries the exact same traits, is very light to hold, and has a 5-metre safety distance. There are 2 space loop fountains in this box, and again we can see that these are really overpackaged. This fountain carries a differently coloured artwork label, and I'd hope that its effects are also different in colour. There are 3 decent sized rockets of 2 different colours, and it's interesting to note that these actually carry the Astra brand name. These feel like decent fireworks, and they've obviously been taken from another line which boasts a higher build quality. There are two moon-based Roman candle shot tubes, and it's nice to see some variety within the contents of this box. These are labelled as a display firework with a 25 metre safety distance, and this suggests that they pack a punch. Krypton is now another single tube within a box like those we have come to expect. Again, Deep Space is no different to the previous fountains and is grossly overpackaged. I have heard people defend this type of production, claiming that the larger footprint aids stability, but that certainly isn't true of these. Although Neon Storm looks like a good sizable firework, in reality it's no different to the other boxed fountains. At the time, other pieces of this size were batteries of multiple tubes, but again this contains just one. Sadly, Aura is exactly the same and has very little weight to it. Stardust is the last fountain out of this box, and it's perhaps one of the worst offenders in terms of window dressing. Although this carries a 25 metre safety distance, I can't help but feel that other fireworks of this size from the same era would be far more spectacular. Just a few pieces remain, and I've saved some of the better fireworks until last. There are 4 decent sized Roman candles with 3 solar flares and a single orbiter. Interestingly, not only do the solar flares have differently coloured artwork labels, but the tissue that closes the fused ends also varies in colour and may be an indication as to the colour of effects within. Two cakes remain, and not only are these the best 2 pieces within this assortment, but they're also unsurprisingly both visible from the clear outer packaging, whereas a lot of the deceptively large pieces were not. Cosmic Meteor is described as a Roman candle with a 25 metre safety distance, and we can see that this battery consists of 7 tubes and no puffery. This has a good weight to it and is in keeping with Cosmic's premium products of the time. Finally, we have the box's most impressive firework, and Gamma Storm has obviously been included with the intentions of being a finale piece. This 24 shot barrage has a 15mm bore, it ejects stars and whistles, and again it's one of the handful of fireworks with no deceptive packaging. This is more reminiscent of other pieces available via other brands within this time period, and I expect it will perform very well. So that's everything covered. When this box was initially launched, it was sold via Lidl supermarkets for £14.99, and discount stores were selling it for even less. Cosmic were obviously under pressure to create inexpensive products that would satisfy the demands of those wanting to sell fireworks very cheaply. They did this by thinning down powder weights whilst physical dimensions remained the same. It's worth noting that Cosmic were reluctant to cheapen their own name, so hid behind other brand names, and as this box caused uproar with unhappy customers, that was a wise decision. I do feel that there was an intention to deceive customers, and looking at online feedback from 2006, many people felt the same. That said, sadly this selling tactic must have worked very well for the manufacturers, as we all know this method of marketing selection boxes and other supermarket fireworks has now become the done thing. Nonetheless, I feel that this box is an interesting piece of history and hope that you've enjoyed this video. So like always, thank you for watching, and I'll post up another video soon.